Welcome to my channel, where the scariest stories come to life. Before we dive into today's chilling tale, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you never miss a story. Now, let's get into the horror. Every Tuesday at around 2 a.m., I hear the sound of a man laughing, and that laughter really creeps me out. I struggle to fall asleep whenever I hear it. It became such a problem that I asked a friend of mine to come over on a Tuesday night. I think I just wanted her to hear it as well so I could prove I wasn't having some kind of mental episode. Honestly, I had started to question my own sanity. It was not pleasant to be alone at night. When 2 a.m. approached that night, I was nervous that we wouldn't actually hear the laughter. I was scared my friend would call me a liar or, worse, that something was really wrong with me. But right on cue, we heard it, exactly at 2 a.m. My friend is, what's the kindest way to phrase this, a very headstrong person. She's quite pushy and likes to get things done. So when she heard that laughter outside, she wanted to do something about it. Who wants to live with that anyway? She headed straight out the door, and I followed behind her. You might be thinking that what I was hearing was laughter coming from a neighbor's apartment through the walls or from somewhere above or below me, but that wasn't the case. I was hearing this eerie laughter from outside, coming from the street below my apartment. It was as if someone was periodically showing up each week at the same time and laughing at something on the street outside. It sounds completely insane, I know, but stick with me. We headed out the door and down the steps to the street below. I was really nervous. To be honest with you, I didn't know why we had to directly confront the owner of this laughter when we could have just called the police, but I also needed this to be over. I felt conflicted. When we reached the bottom of the stairs, we turned toward the direction of the sound. It was super dark out, but that was normal since this happened in late September. Immediately, we saw a figure beneath a dim street light. As we approached, the figure turned to face us. That's when I finally saw him, the man I dubbed the Laughing Man. He was middle-aged, or at least he appeared to be. As we slowly approached, more of his features became clear. He had an absolutely insane-looking smile stretched across his face. Right in front of us, he began to cackle, that same chilling 2 a.m. laugh. My friend might have been headstrong, but she wasn't stupid. She grabbed my arm and flipped me around in the other direction. We started running back toward my apartment. I knew it was a bad idea to confront this guy. I was planning on telling her that as soon as we were safe behind a locked door. But before I could, something else happened. I heard a sudden flurry of footfalls approaching. We ran even faster. My legs felt like jelly from the sheer effort. The man was gaining on us. I felt like I wasn't moving quickly enough, like he was going to catch me. Why the hell did we have to provoke this wacko? Then, my friend and I got separated, each of us racing in opposite directions. I heard the man take off after her. I felt relieved he wasn't right behind me, but at the same time, I was terrified for my friend. By the time I turned around, I was alone on an empty street, shrouded in darkness, more scared than I had ever been before. I figured my friend would come back to my apartment if she could, so my best move was to get back there and wait for her. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my phone and called the police. I must have sounded like a complete lunatic because they didn't even take my call seriously. It's rough reporting things here when you're young. I know that sounds like an excuse, but it isn't. I felt strange in those moments, relieved that the laughing man wasn't chasing me anymore. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. But I felt guilty for thinking that when my friend was still in danger. I was really worried about her. Then, about 10 minutes after I got off the phone with the police, I got a message from her. She had run all the way home and was safe behind a locked door. Thankfully, she lived only about a 15-minute walk away. I was so relieved. But for some reason, I got this eerie feeling. What if the man had decided to target her instead? Any day now, I'm waiting for her to tell me she started hearing laughter in the middle of the night, too. I just hope he doesn't know where she lives. I never want to run into that man again. He was terrifying, and now I'm too scared to even walk the streets at night. For most of my childhood, my family and I lived one house away from a child predator. For the sake of this story, I'll just call him Mr. Stan. Our old neighborhood started at the top of a hill and went down to a small lake, where the road turned right and branched off into a cul-de-sac and another residential street. Mr. Stan's house was at the top of the hill, and ours was in the middle. He had lived in the neighborhood long before we moved in. It's hard for me to remember any vivid details about him since I was very young at the time. What I do remember, though, is that every time he saw us, his face would scrunch up as if he smelled something terrible. There was only one house between his place and ours, and for that, I'm very grateful. I don't know what my life would have been like if he had been living right next to us. Right from when we were little, my parents were very strict about us walking past Mr. Stan's house. They insisted that he was sick in the head and told us that if he ever asked us to come into his home, we were never allowed to do so alone. For years, no one told us exactly why Mr. Stan was a bad guy, but we didn't need to know all the details. We just knew to avoid him. The look he gave us whenever he was working on his car or planting flowers in his garden was enough to unnerve my sister and me. Whenever we walked up the hill to school, we would cross the street as soon as we got near his house, just to stay as far away as possible. Like I said, I don't remember much about Mr. Stan. His twisted story began long before I was even born. For this, I turned to my mom to fill in the details. She told me that before we ever moved into the cul-de-sac, sometime in the late 70s or early 80s, Mr. Stan had already gained a reputation as a heavy drinker. He would get drunk and go over to the house of the family across the street from us to do terrible things to their daughter while she was babysitting. The daughter tried to tell her mother about it, but because she was rebellious, her mother didn't believe her. Our family and Mr. Stan's family were actually good friends at first. Mr. Stan even worked as a corrections officer. Soon, more accusations surfaced. Mr. Stan and another officer had apparently been preying on their co-workers' kids. Mr. Stan avoided conviction by ratting out the other officer, but in the process, he lost his job. As far as I know, he never really worked after that. Mr. Stan had 2 daughters of his own. While the older one claimed that she had been abused and suffered from severe mental health issues as a result, the younger one said she was never mistreated. Mr. Stan's wife stood by him and insisted he was innocent of any wrongdoing. The moment we moved into our house, our next-door neighbor, a kind but nosy old man, immediately warned my dad to keep my sister and me away from Mr. Stan no matter what. He filled my parents in on everything, on Mr. Stan's history with children, which understandably horrified them. Mr. Stan was cordial enough on the surface. He would wave hello to my family and act neighborly. According to my mom, he regularly offered to babysit my sister and me. My parents emphatically declined. Around 2002 or so, my dad happened to be leaving for work when he saw a neighborhood child named Lana walking up the street. My dad is a friendly person, so he asked her what she was up to. She told him she had to go to Mr. Stan's house to give him a back rub. My dad immediately knew something was off. He told Lana's parents. To his surprise, they weren't alarmed at all. They said that sort of thing happened all the time. Years later, when Lana was older, my dad asked her if Mr. Stan had ever acted inappropriately toward her during those visits. Her answer was a definitive yes. I remember when my sister was in kindergarten and I was in 3rd grade. Mr. Stan's grandkids came to live with him. Because of everything my parents knew, they couldn't believe this was allowed, especially given the allegations and the neighborhood gossip surrounding him. His granddaughter was in the same kindergarten class as my sister, and his grandson was my age. My mom told me that it was so disturbing to see that sweet little girl at school every day, knowing what might be going on behind closed doors. My parents have always had strong morals, particularly my dad. They often discussed what they should do. They wanted to report Mr. Stan to the authorities before any harm could come to his grandchildren. They knew that if they did, they'd be putting themselves at risk. The rest of the neighborhood was of no help at all. My mom said it was as if they were all hiding under rocks, turning a blind eye to what was happening. In the end, my parents decided that reporting Mr. Stan was worth the risk. They reported him to the principal at my elementary school. The principal, in turn, called the ministry, which sent investigators to Mr. Stan's house for home visits. Eventually, it was decided that the grandchildren needed to be removed from his home. Somehow, it was leaked that my parents were the ones who reported him. My mom thinks Lana's family may have had a hand in it. That's when the real fun began, as my mom put it. Mr. Stan was no longer friendly toward my family. No more waves. No more chit-chat. Instead, he started targeting my mom with his car if she was walking alone. He would scream obscenities at my dad. A few times, he even crossed the center line when driving to intimidate us. He told my dad that he had ruined his life. Thinking back on that really makes my blood boil. My dad is one of the kindest and most considerate men I know. My mom was miserable and wanted to move, but my dad, unshakable as he is, said he wasn't in a hurry to do so. It took 3 years of house hunting before my mom finally convinced him it was time to leave. After we moved to our beautiful new home in the country, I finally started to learn the full story. Sadly, it doesn't end there. After we left, Lana and the other girls, now adults, came forward to report Mr. Stan. He was hauled into court for a second time. This time, there was no one to rat out to save himself. The testimony against him built up. My parents followed the trial in the newspaper. They wanted to see him put away for all the terrible things he had done. Mr. Stan had once been a corrections officer. He knew he wouldn't last long in prison. So, one quiet morning, 1 week before his sentencing, he took a hunting rifle and blew his own head off. The family that had moved into Lana's old house was walking their kids to school when they heard the gunshot. My mom tells me that the image of that scene still haunts her to this day. Maybe she imagines what it would have been like if she had been walking my sister and me to school instead. Maybe she was just disturbed to learn that Mr. Stan had a gun all along. I know it sounds harsh, but I'm glad he's dead. He can never hurt another person again. Looking back, I realize just how dark my childhood neighborhood truly was. I was too young to notice anything wrong, too young to sense the tension my parents lived with every day. I had no idea how much danger my sister and I were in. My mom left me with one last ominous thought: they say every neighborhood has a man just like that living there. Most of the time, we just don't know it. My name is Rose. I'm 5 feet tall, and I'm 38 years old, but I don't even look it. I was a very sick newborn. I even died twice. Because of this, I have both physical and mental disabilities. During most of my schooling, I was in special needs classes. The names in this story have been changed because I don't want the people involved to find me. I'm from Alabama, born and raised. I'm on disability due to my health problems, and I can't really work anymore because of that. I've been on YouTube ever since it was created. This all started happening to me on one of my newer accounts. I'm not a huge YouTuber or anything like that. I never really looked at it as a job, but more as something fun to do. I have a lot of different interests, and I'm also a Christian. I wanted to use my channel to teach about Jesus. I felt like I had a calling to do so. I would read King James Bible verses and explain their meaning. Well, this one lady really took offense to that. Let's call her Abby. She apparently misunderstood what I was trying to say, and it enraged her so much that she went out of her way to find my personal Facebook, even though it wasn't linked to anything, as well as my Instagram. It was really weird. Just because of one thing she didn't like, she started threatening to ruin me. She even threatened to come to my house in her van. I tried to make things right and apologize, but it was no use. I couldn't be on that YouTube account anymore, not even my main channel. Actually, no matter what account I switched to, she would always find me. no matter what. It was getting really bad. This all started in the summer, but new things kept happening. This past November, after Thanksgiving, someone came and banged on my front door. Then in December, someone tried to break into my home, jiggling the doorknob. It was insane. Thankfully, it all stopped after December. But more recently, someone tried to add me on Instagram using a fake account. I realized right away that it was my stalker. I recognized all of the pictures she had on that account. I had my Instagram set to private because there are a lot of sick creeps out there. In fact, all of my profiles are private, and I don't add anyone unless I know them. So I had no idea how she was getting all this information. My friend, who I'll call Mary, wanted to know how all of this even started. By this point, it was taking a huge toll on my mental health. I explained everything that had happened, and we started digging. On my friend's account, we found more information. It turned out that this person wasn't even who she said she was. It was a woman and her husband using the same account. They were both in on it. I've never met these people in person. I've never even really spoken to them, other than them threatening me. I thanked my friend for helping me discover the truth, then made some new accounts and blocked everyone involved. I'm no longer doing YouTube. I try to stay out of the public eye now because it stressed me out way too much. I used to sing on that channel. I even did some cooking videos. But right now, I just want some peace. Be careful who you interact with online. They may not have the intentions you think they have. Stay safe out there, and always watch your surroundings, whether in real life or online. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give the video a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a terrifying tale. See you in the next one.